everyone, Soundwave 884. In this video, I'm going to give you what I believe to be the worst scene in every Transformer film, theatrical movie released so far. Now, I got this idea, I don't know from who. It was on YouTube. I was just scrolling, trying to find a video late night, trying to go to bed. And then I found a video. It was like, stuff. And one of the videos said, worst scene from every so-and-so movie series. I was like, huh, that's a nice, like a little neat idea. I could do that with Transformers. I clicked another video to watch, and I came back. Of course, that video is gone, so I can't credit who I got this idea from. But yeah, I was like, I want to do that with Transformers. It's pretty easy. Well, I don't say it's pretty easy, but there's a lot of bad scenes in a lot of these live-action Transformer movies. So what I'm going to do here, I'm actually going to include Transformers 1 and the 86 animated movie as well, and give you what I believe to be the worst scene in each film. Now, this is just my personal opinion. It doesn't actually mean this is the worst scene in the movie, because everybody's opinions and viewpoints of a movie differ. Everybody's likes and dislikes differ. So what is horrible to me could be golden to you. So there's no offense meant in anything in this video. So I'll try to keep this video short and compact, not too long. We're going to start off with the 1986 animated Transformers, the movie, featuring Judd Nelson, Robert Stack, Leonard Nimoy, Orson Welles, Eric Idle, a lot of good actors, and I got some big names from the actual shows and movies, mixed in with Peter Cullen and Frank Welker and Susan Blue and Neil Ross and all that. I don't have to go through the whole cast here. So the worst movie scene in this movie, I mean, yeah, it's got a lot of nostalgia, so I'm going to be blinded by nostalgia for this film. I saw this movie in theaters multiple times while it was out for the few weeks it was out. Worst scene from the 86 movie would probably be the dance scene on Junkion, when Hot Rod and Cup do the Bob Wheat Piranha, Wheat Ninny Long, and become friends with the Junkions, and they all just start happy dancing during the midst of Ultra Magnus dead, Matrix gone, all that. You don't need to be dancing here, so it's just a little weird, but it's probably one of the few happy moments in the movie. Once it starts, this movie is bang bang bang, and it's shots to your childhood, it's killing off your characters, it's action, it's trouble from point A to point B, so there's nothing but bad things happening. I guess I needed a single lighthearted moment, but to me it just feels very disjointed from the rest of the movie. But we do get to hear Weird Al, and that's always a plus. Moving on to the next theatrical release, 2007, Transformers the movie, starring Shia LaBeouf, Megan Fox, and bringing back Peter Cullen as Optimus Prime. The worst scene in this movie, I feel at the time, this wasn't what I wanted, in Transformers the movie, but I understood by this point there's been so many iterations of Transformers toys and cartoon series that they sort of took stuff. It's just based on Hasbro's Transformers. So, I wanted something more G1-esque. I wasn't disappointed in how they went. Some of the designs, yes, but I think it was too human-like, and that was one of the complaints. A lot of people, is just too much humans. I understand budgetary reasons and stuff like that. But going on to the worst scene of the movie, it would have to be, were you masturbating? The masturbation scene from the mom. When they're searching, you got stuff going on. I guess to make it a little more lighthearted, the mom throws out, were you masturbating? Honestly, did it look like he was masturbating? I don't think so. It just seems very odd for that to come out. But I understand being a mother, and she's like, your boy's growing up. She might bring this up eventually, but it doesn't seem to be the right time. I mean, he's sweaty, he's dirty. Yeah, I don't think that's part of the masturbation process. Unless I'm doing it wrong, for 30 years, I don't know, but you can let me know down in the comments below. Do you get dirty, greasy, sweaty, masturbating? Maybe some lotion here or there, or something flung on the walls, but I don't see dirt coming into the equation. Now to Revenge of the Fallen from 2009, and oh boy, I like the action in this movie. I think that's done very well, shot a lot better than it was in the first film. But there's a few scenes I could pick out as being, there's lots of bad, unfunny or trying to be funny scenes in this movie. But there's just one scene that, to me, stands above the rest. And it's not Enemy Scrotum. It's seeing Seymour Simmons, I think I got it right, ass in a jockstrap. Yeah, that was totally uncalled for, totally unnecessary. That did not need to be in the movie. Could you imagine being a mother and you got your 6-year-old daughter or son in the movie, and all of a sudden there's a grown man's ass on the screen? I understand it's PG-13, but this is more or less marketed at kids, and especially with a toy line attached. But I mean, that scene was just totally unnecessary. A lot of Revenge of the Fallen was unnecessary. That scene to me was the most unnecessary, and not the twins, not Scrotum, but John Turturro's booty cheeks. That is unnecessary. Moving on to Dark of the Moon, came out in 2011. This is probably one of my favorite of the original trilogy or original movies done by Michael Bay. So it's a little bit harder to find something that I think is the worst scene. I want to say overall I want to go with, well, I find it amusing, John Malkovich's character, and mainly what really gets to me is just the part in Sam's apartment when he's just starting to like pick on Bumblebee, like he wants to have a little tussle with him. That part to me is the worst part of the entire movie. Unless I need to sit down and rewatch it, from beginning to end again. And there's a few bad things. It's not as bad as Revenge of the Fallen with the humor and the gross out stuff and the sexual stuff, but this part here, to me, was just really unneeded. It was unnecessary in the movie. He could just went up there and said, "No, effing awesome." That's something a little bit different with Bumblebee. Something a little more, I don't say mature, but just something not like that. But I mean, it fits the character he's portraying in the film. He had the, stuff on his desk, picture of himself, but it was just, to me, a little bit over the top. I understand it's Michael Bay movies. There's a lot of over the top, but I mean, out of this movie, that is, to me, the worst scene. Moving on to Age of Extinction, released in 2014. This time, we got Mark Wahlberg in here. We jettisoned Shia LaBeouf. So, worst scene here. I'll probably have to join the masses, and it's going to be the underage scene where he flips out the laminated, I believe it was laminated, card featuring the law or the title, the part of the law where he had a pre-existing juvenile relationship. That was totally unnecessary, unneeded. It doesn't bother me as much as it probably bothers other people, but in the movie, that was probably the worst scene to me. Other than that, it would probably be some of T.J. Miller's humor in the beginning of the movie, but just overall worst part of the movie is just kind of just takes you out of your seat. The underage thing, laminated on a card in the wallet, that would have to be the worst part of the movie. Moving on to The Last Night, released in 2017. Again with Mark Wahlberg. We changed up some of the we got Anthony Hopkins now and stuff, but when the movies first started and came on screen, it looked promising. But for me to pick out a worst scene in the movie, I really just want to choose 70% of the movie. There's a lot of that movie that is just bad. I can't sit down. I don't even want to put it on to watch. It was just, I watched it and, it had promise at parts, but then it really just failed that promise. I gotta pick a worst scene. Jeez, I don't know. Honestly, I'm racking my brain for a worst scene. I wrote a list, but all I put was 70% of the movie. I gotta pick a worst scene for The Last Night. Jesus. It's so disjointed. Bumblebee blowing up at the very beginning, and that was a mistake. I saw that in trailers. It made my skin crawl. It made me embarrassed to be a Transformers fan. He just rejoins, and where the hell did he get this power from? That was not present in any of the movies. That could have been really useful in the first live action film when he got his legs blown off. He didn't need Ratchet. Motherfucker could just hook his legs right back on. That would probably have to be the worst part. And the fact that, when he fights Optimus Prime, he's in no real danger unless he gets his spark extinguished, because he can just suck himself back together. He's just magnetic, right? He just sucks himself back together, and he does that after the fight. He's got a few parts to just fly back onto him. I'd say that, to me, just jars me out of the movie because it's so random and out of nowhere, out of left field. A lot of the movies out of left field. Megatron being back, total different design from Galvatron, out of left field. You can see by the red mark on his face, he must have ran to Quintessa at some point, and she took him over. I don't know, but it's just random. It is just weird. It's a weird movie. And yeah. All right, now we're moving on to Bumblebee. Came out in 2018. A year later, I think The Last Night hurt Bumblebee's success, or how much it could actually draw. You know, last night, last Age of Extinction made $1 billion. Last night did not make $1 billion. But Bumblebee, I think from beginning to end, is one of the more consistent Transformer films. Worst scene in this would just have to be something related to the humans. And I had two parts I wanted to choose. I wanted to choose the diving scene on the cliff. I was like, no, because that led to a funny scene later with Bumblebee, TP and eggs on the car. And I was like, well, that led to something better. And even though this scene kind of leads on to that cliff scene and stuff, but no, the scene when she's working and she runs into the hot guy and spills the stuff on him, and he just removes his shirt and walks off like nothing ever happened. Yeah, it's just very cheesy, very campy 80s stuff. Which is trying to fit in an 80s style film. That is the one scene that just, to me, is the worst part about this movie. The worst scene out of this movie. Otherwise, I think Bumblebee, is done better. I like the two Decepticons. It had better characterization out of than most Transformers in the previous movies. Moving on to Rise of the Beast. I don't remember which year it came out now. It's been a while, so it's probably, 2023? I don't remember. But I actually enjoyed Rise of the Beasts. Coming off Bumblebee, they changed some things that, I want to just put Wheeljack down. It's because he's such a departure from how he looked in Bumblebee. And you say, well, maybe it's not a direct sequel, but they do bring up something. But they don't know. There's not detail. Probably says, I know you had a human friend, all this stuff before. It's referencing Charlie Watson from the Bumblebee movie, but they don't come out and just say it, so it could just be anything random, I guess. But yeah, the Wheeljack introduction scene has to be the worst scene to me in the entire movie. It was just because it's, you know why. Because I'm a Transformers fan, and I saw how he looked in the movie previous, and he changed into this. Now, RC was in Bumblebee movie, and she's also in this one. Her look is a little more consistent. She does go from more pink to red, and she does seem to shrink down in size. But I can actually deal with that because I could just, you don't really see her up and about in Bumblebee as much. So I'm fine with her change because she still resembles sort of how she looked in that movie, and she sort of resembles G1 still. So she resembles enough of how she was previously that I can bypass any changes on that. Wheeljack is such a departure from Bumblebee movie that is just too jarring, and his introduction is just the worst scene in the movie to me. Because then they had to try to throw in some kind of racism joke. I'm like, just drop that stuff, please. Make a movie, make the characters interesting. Try to keep consistency and continuity between films. That's one of the things that bugs me about most of the live action movies is the continuity with characters and story beats from movie to movie. There's not much. All right, moving on to Transformers 1. This is actually a very enjoyable movie. I've watched it multiple times since the theater. I want to say it starts slow. It's not really slow because there's always something going on. But yeah, I think like the race scene, which plays a point in the movie, it drags a little bit for me. I'm not that enthralled by that in the beginning of the movie. But it's just nothing in the movie that I sit there and just classify as bad. Or something I have to gotta watch this scene again. There's nothing in that movie that makes me feel like I feel that way, or I just can't watch it, or don't want to see this one scene. If there has to be one part, it's Bumblebee or B-127's badassatron moment, and when he keeps trying to repeat it to Alita 1. I understand what he's trying to do. He's trying to get a comment from her. She's not saying anything, and then she says, "I need you to talk less," when she does not afterwards. At least she stops saying that. That's probably the only part of the movie I would consider being bad. And then really, in the end, it's not bad. So that's my worst scene from every Transformers theatrical movie from 1986 to Transformers 1 from 2024. You let me know your worst scenes down in the comments below. And thanks for watching this video. Until next ones.